I know we're almost out of time, but I did mean to sort of ask you, how has it affected the grieving process with this being so public? Because you were sort of right away kind of forced into a, not necessarily forced, that's not the right word, but like sort of, maybe like some sort of felt some sort of need to not I don't know how to say it, but like you
Yeah.
needed, there's people that needed to be addressed sort of like almost right after he died,
Yep.
and he had an audience to speak to. How has that affected like the grieving process for you?
I think I feel like what happened is like right when he died, I went into a state of shock. But in that shock, um, I felt like this intense urgency to go out and speak publicly. And there are a lot of people in Michael's orbit, and his his friends in media and co-hosts who would have done a beautiful job. But it felt like there was a need for someone in our immediate family to go out and just be really clear, like I didn't expect the internet to be as kind as it was. I immediately just had this, like, I don't know why this was a thing, but I was just worried that people would make up lies. Um, that they'd say he killed himself or he overdosed, or like when someone dies very young unexpectedly and there's not a cause of death, you always wonder that. That's kind of like
Yeah.
a code in our society. And the truth was, we were just trying to figure out why he had this blood clot and why it was a deadly blood clot. And we didn't really have very much information, but we knew it wasn't a suicide. That was kind of, and we knew it wasn't an overdose. And so I guess like the reason I kind of came out publicly and spoke was to kind of say, clear that up. But then also, Michael had been texting me so much about, it sucks that the right wing has like co-opted this and made it so ugly. But Michael had been speaking out so much, or at least not really speaking out, but texting me so much about his anxiety about I don't know, this kind of like cancel stuff, whatever. I've spoken about it. But part of that, I just felt this tremendous need to share about. And I also felt kind of angry because I felt like he felt so much stress from like the left BS on Twitter and the internet. And, I felt like it wasn't really conscious, but I sort of wanted to like yell at everyone about like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that
I
came
don't know
across
how.
definitely when you spoke too on the majority report the next day, that both those things you outlined of it wasn't a suicide, clear that up, and then also that like cancel culture is toxic. Like those two things really came across when you talked about it.